screen right there with the pink hair. I think he dyed it pink for playoffs, and he is just, I think, the strongest jungler in this group.
Well, we'll keep our eyes on him then. We saw Group A defined by the junglers. Last game was defined by top laners, specifically one Evie. Now, we are going to see the Jarvan taken away, LeBlanc removed by Vega on the blue side, ITZ on the red have taken that Kayle away, and no more Sona Taric for this game.
I was actually very curious who was scrimming who, if the Group A teams would scrim the Group B teams and vice versa, but I feel like the Taric check, the Sona Taric check has now been removed.
I mean, either ITZ have played up against...
Or maybe they just watched that.
Or they just watched the game. Still seeing that Jace taken away from Vega. Not usual that you see that on the blue side as a ban, but still a very strong pick.
Envy is a phenomenal Jace player.
With the Morgana as the final ban from ITZ, it's an insta-lock Karthus here for Vega.
So Vega Squadron were the first team in the CIS to bring out the Karthus priority, banning it, as well as the fact that they can play it in multiple positions. They can play it in the jungle, the mid lane, as well as in the bot lane. Something that you'll hear time and time again about these bot lanes in Group B is that all of them have the capacity to play mages.
With the Karthus locked in, immediate response from ITZ. It's Ryze, it's Rek'Sai. These are the strong picks we've seen throughout the last couple of days. No real surprises to see them locked in this early on.
Yeah, and I really like Rek'Sai for Shinyi particularly. So he is a jungler. When I watch him, I feel like he's kind of like me first. He's a very aggressive, gank heavy, looks for big opportunities and kind of snowballs himself and then transfers that power into the lane phase. Everything that starts for ITZ does start for Shinyi.
On the Rek'Sai, you have so much agency in the early game. Into a Hecarim that, of course, could be jungle, could be top, and a Pike lock. The first of MSI 2019, I do believe.
So all you need to know about Gadget and Santa's down there in that bot lane, other than now that they have a Pike, is that they demand attention. It doesn't matter what is happening in the draft. If it's like a weird pick where it's a support Ezreal, they've got a Mordekaiser down there, maybe it's the AD Nico, they demand that you pay attention to them and you must respect them. And they do play weird combinations to try to catch you off guard.
I mean, this is the first time that we've seen Pike taken by Vega at all. They haven't played him at all.
They play it. I'm never going to doubt it. I can see something they've never played. Like,
100%
they play
can
everything.
play it, but it's just a lot of fun to see them cracking it out in their first game here, MSI. Braum is the answer from ITZ. Irelia banned by that Brazilian squad as well, and we'll see where Vega decide to go with their second phase of bans.
And you know, we're making a lot of assumptions by assuming that
could be mid lane. Could be mid lane.
Exactly, and I wouldn't pet it past Vega. So again, the CIS, these teams have been known to kind of scrim over with the European teams. We've seen the Seek and Destroy composition that G2 brought out against Origin and absolutely crushed Origin with in week 1 of the LEC. That same type of composition was run in the CIS. You know, these are very creative, very close regions, and you see a lot of overlapping similarities.
Okay, we'll have to wait for a couple more picks before we really work out exactly how this composition is going to line itself up. ITZ say, we don't want you getting the Cassiopeia. No ability to spam out those spells on that very strong sustain mage. Vega have looked towards the AD carries for their first ban here, might look towards another for their second.
I think it tells me that that's probably going to be Envy's Rise if they're trying to pinch the Cassiopeia, unless they just have a better read that they've scrimmed and they're very comfortable with this team and they think that it might flex somewhere else. A lot of times, Rise into Cass can be a little bit frustrating.
Yeah, very frustrating trying to deal with that matchup. She just sustains forever. ITZ have to blind pick something. Well, basically everything's blind picked here because Vega could take any of these champions into any of those roles. ITZ won't want something safe. What are we looking for? We're looking for a tank, we're looking for engage. What are they missing?
I feel like they're missing more damage to follow up on. Mills on Ezreal. So here's what's interesting about ITZ. They have like a 10-man roster, and in the beginning of their split, they were playing with the legendary White Lotus. International fans will grab hold of that name. They're like, oh, I remember that guy. He was amazing on the international stage. Unfortunately, he just didn't have the same fire when he came back into Brazil, and they have since put Mills as their starting ADC. He's played majority of the games, and I'm kind of hot and cold on Mills. Sometimes I see him and I'm like, okay, this is a guy that has a very diverse champion pool. It feels like he can play anything and everything, and I want him to play for the lane phase, but in his playoff run, he was basically relegated to utility duty. He played a lot of Ashe, he played a lot of Sivir, and he was there just kind of to push the minion wave. So I'm glad that he's stepping up on an international stage and kind of pulling up the Ezreal, and let's see if he can flex.
So I like the brand hover there. I'm pretty sure that's a reference back to Liquid when he played on Albus Nox Luna, because he was an incredible brand player, and maybe just a little bit of a reference saying, hey, Liquid, you kind of made the big name for the CIS region here. They're gonna pick the Lee Sin as their final lock. So Karthus Pike bot lane is what I'm thinking. Hecarim top, Lee Sin jungle, Syndra mid.
I mean, you get the wave push power by having the Karthus in the marksman position, and the thing about Pike is he's kind of like a win more support. He doesn't have a lot of control over the minion wave, so if Karthus can alleviate that burden for him and just allow Pike to roam around or play kill and play forward in the lane, I expect it to kind of work like that.
Final lock is Renekton for Tay, so it's going to be Renekton into Hecarim top matchup, you would think, with MB taking that rise towards the mid. We've had so many unique picks and so many strange picks here. Kind of talk to me about how these compositions are going to work here for us. What are these teams intending to do?
Anytime I see Lee Sin and Syndra, I'm thinking that at level 6 and at level 9, or Syndra's level 9, when you walk into the jungle with those two characters, you automatically get priority. Like the 2v2 potential there is massive with the amount of burst damage, and I feel like that's where a lot of the pivot point starts for Vega Squadron. And then you have the likes of the Karthus and the Hecarim, which have so much scaling and team fight ability on them, whereas on the other side it looks like a much more standard composition from INTZ. Everyone's probably used to seeing these champions again and again, and when you have a Renekton, I feel like he gets a lot of the attention, the priority, especially when you have such a safe bot lane like Ezreal Prom.
A little bit of an inventive composition coming out from our CIS representatives. Brazil going...
Standard for them.
Oh, it's standard for them, but it's definitely not standard for the tournament meta so far. We'll have to see if it does end up paying dividends. INTZ, on the other hand, going a little bit more standard, playing the sort of thing that made them the champions of Brazil. The question is, can they weather the storm? Because it is going to be an almighty hurricane coming from the Vega Squadron.
Yeah, and again, I expect a lot of attention to be given up to that top laner, Tay, initially on. In the playoffs, he did step up pretty massive on that Renekton as one of the carries of the team, but normally he is kind of that all-rounder type of top laner.
Let's see if it pays dividends for him, giving him a little bit more of carry potential. Let's have a quick look across runes and masteries, because it's always interesting to see with sort of more eclectic compositions, piecemeal compositions, exactly who is taking what. We have Dark Harvest on Gadget, Electrocute on No Man's, Conqueror on Ananasik on that Lee Sin. It's Klepto Ezreal down towards the bottom lane as expected, and the rest of it, it's going to be Conqueror Rek'Sai, no Halo Blades for Shinny here.
Would you like a fun fact, Medic?
I love fun facts, Frost. Are you channeling quick shot for this? Is this a quick stat?
No,
quick
please,
fact?
let's not do that.
Okay.
Ananasik means pineapple.
Okay, that makes it, because ananas is pineapple, isn't it? Yes.
And that is much easier for me to say than to butcher this poor man's name. So
Okay.
if it's cool with you,
You're going to say pineapple.
the jungler of Vega Squadron is pineapple.
Okay,
We'll use Ananasik a couple more
Yes.
times. We'll ease you into it. I know everyone hold hands.
that's fine. I can do this.
He's going at that.
Yes, in team fights, I'm probably going to say Ananasik, because if I say something like pineapple throws out the Dragon's Rage kick, that's going to just make me giggle.
I think that just sounds cooler.
And pineapple with the kick onto the back. No, I'm going to go with Ananasik, but I will join you on your pineapple hype train for a little while.
So for this matchup in particular, I was really looking at the 2v2s to kind of settle the score. No Man's gets a lot of praise in the CIS. I think he's a very talented mechanical mid laner. And again, on Syndra Lee Sin, there are very obvious power windows where this 2v2 is just a very big deal, has a lot of kill pressure. But I feel like it's kind of lopsided a little bit. I kind of weight No Man's over Envy. I'm curious if that's how the matchup will actually go for them as individual players. But I weight Shinny over Pineapple. And so kind of in the 2v2, it feels like it can go either way.
It really depends on which team gets the first priority, which team makes the first play.
And this
Space
is
checking into whom?
regardless of matchup. I actually have just been very impressed with Shinny's pathing. I think sometimes, though, he can go a little bit over-aggressive, but he tends to be a very smart jungler about the game and read the situation appropriately.
This is actually really dangerous for Santos. He was caught out with concussive blows, and Redbird and Mills hit the level 2 first down towards that bottom lane. So Santos took a huge amount of damage, chunked out, had to use his first potion of the lane.
Early level spam from Braum and Ezreal, always going to be obnoxious by throwing out those Qs.
And with Mills picking up the little mana potion as well, makes it even harder to fight against them, because you can't rely on the Ezreal running out of mana in the lane. It's going to be too sustained up. Ananasik, or Pineapple, as he is better known, is going to steal away this, take away the Scuttle Crab. We did see Shinny take the bottom side one. He's pathed up towards his red buff. And for the moment, neither jungler are able to make too many forays into these lanes. The boss is actually winning this trade into Tay in the top lane. The Hecarim has a huge amount of damage early on, and with the Corrupting Potion can just trade into the Renekton.
Yeah, I feel like it was also the Corrupting Potion. So the thing about both these champions is they kind of deal with the wave in the same way, and that you want to be in the wave and you want to trade on your opponent while you're also pushing by like spamming either your Cold-a-Meek or your Rafflecopter if you're Hecarim. But having the access to the Corrupting Potion just kind of gave him the edge, and it looked like Boss just got a better position on the minion wave.
Boss is going to back away just in time as Shinny was on his way up towards the top side. Shinny's actually done an entire jungle clear here, taking every single one of his camps, whereas Ananasik is just a little bit behind in terms of camp bio, but actually seems like Boss is going to stay around in that top lane, and Ananasik going to come up and try and look for a gank here. Tay might overextend, not expecting Boss to be there. Oh, Boss! Devastating charges onto a minion, and that is not a Boss move to do.
He's slippery.
Yes. Oh, okay, wait. This could be important because Boss actually had to. They know he stayed around, and Shinny sneaks into that top.
I don't think they're looking for a dive.
I hope they are.
I mean, no, I don't think they're looking
Okay.
for the dive. I'm pretty sure that he's just here to make it safe for him to push this wave in.
That does make sense. You don't want the Lee Sin ganking from behind when the teleport comes in from that Hecarim. Tay will push in the lane. Both the junglers have a cord. And Shinny goes double longsword boots instead of upgrading that jungle item.
That moment when you make me question, I was like, oh, are they going to dive? Medics used to think they're going to dive.
The thing is, I didn't think they were, but I hoped. There was a certain aspiration in my heart as the Q does connect in the bottom lane. Redbutt stunned up. The gank coming in from Ananasik, but they can't quite land the damage onto Redbutt. Sonic Wave will hit from the Pineapple, but Mills tanks it up for his support.
Good body blocking right there. And that's how I want this lane to go, at least if you're a Vega Squadron fan. You want Gadget to have it push forward, you know, remove a lot of those creeps in the way of Santis there, and Santis should just start throwing out spears, see what he connects with.
You can see Gadget has played a lot of these unique champions down towards that bottom lane. 4-0 on the Karthus. Triple Dorans. He's got a 31 KDA as well.
He actually just grabs a Dorans for each victory that he gets on Karthus. So you think it's triple Dorans, but
It's going to be Quadra. Or does he get 5 just saying, well, I'm going to win this game as well. Get the Pentadorans. It feels like you should summon a Super Dorans if you get 5 of them.
I
like
mean,
a pentagram.
how are you going to move him from that lane?
That's true. He's never going to be moved at all, and it also means that he has that extra mana regeneration. No Man's will need the blue buff eventually in that middle lane. This mid lane, we wondered how it would go, how the matchup would really play. Seems to be pretty even early on. Rise with the Aftershock is actually really hard for a Syndra to kill before you get some jungle attention and before you hit that level 6, which has just been popped by No Man.
It feels like mid these days is really just kind of a tug of war back and forth with the minion wave. Again, I was looking for the window that once Pineapple there also has access to his Dragon Rage kick. Just the sheer burst damage that comes out of Syndra ultimate on top of Lee Sin ultimate is quite devastating. So that's where I want Vega Squadron to start making their moves around. But here comes Shinny.
Sitting on a control ward, No Man's has no awareness. He's going to step forward, puts the control ward down of his own. Shinny goes in, but Pineapple round the corner. Only level 4, doesn't have the Dragon's Rage kick. We'll just force Envy and Shinny here away, but No Man's could actually fight Shinny here. The Unleashed Power is going to be a lot of damage. Shinny flashes forward, goes unstoppable, but dies. No Man splashes away, and Ananasik is the one to pick up the kill. And first blood in this game goes to the Vega Squadron.
Very disrespectful there to kind of step forward. I think he was expecting that Envy would step up and give him a bit more coverage right there, but tests his luck against the Syndra, and No Man's just stat checks him on the ultimate. Do you have more health than this damage?
Doesn't even have any magic resist either, so it's definitely not going to work against that Unleashed Power. I have another look at this, but it does just feel like Shinny goes over-aggressive after realizing that Ananasik is there.
And the thing was, is he was given the little wiggle, clicking back and forth pretty fast to try to make the Lee Sin Q miss, which he initially dodged. But then he saw that he was in a really rough spot, overreached for the control ward, and is like, maybe we can turn this 1-for-1. I'm going to die, but let's see if we can also grab Syndra, and trades Flash for Flash.
Flash for Flash is okay. Envy still has a Flash of his own, but No Man's has the cleanse, so he's a little bit safe in that middle lane.
Yeah, except he didn't get the kill.
The Pineapple is just gobbling up all of these kills. It's a prickly customer that you have to deal with.
I think it's just a situation now where as long as No Man's can make sure that he never loses control of the minion wave and he's never forced in an unsafe position without the Flash and holds on to his cleanse, that he's fine to take that trade.
Oh, Boss coming down is definitely going to help him out as well. Shinny did get into this bush, but there was a ward spotting him out. He scattered the weak out of the E, and he can't burrow to safety. Boss will take the kill, and Shinny is 0-2-0.
I said that No Man's was a pretty solid mid laner. Really good catch right there on the Scout of the Week to deny him going over the wall, and Syndra, big deal.
Yeah, pretty big deal. VEG actually going to use this to steal away the blue as well. You can give that across towards Gadget. He's now in an incredibly strong position on this Karthus, can just spam out those Skittles as much as possible. And Shinny thought he was safe, but he had been spotted on a wall.
But repeat attempts at this lane. You can see the idea. This Syndra doesn't have access to Flash. I still have Flash on the rise. Maybe he flashed forward, grab the hard CC, and then you can chain it into the Rek'Sai knockup and try to swing this lane kind of back in our favor. But an excellent read there from Vega Squadron.
And maybe a little bit of the weight of expectation on Shinhy's shoulders as well, because we talked about it a lot in Pick and Ban. We said he's the guy, he's the best jungler probably in Brazil, the playmaker for this team. Both the last 2 times he's died, he's been trying to make a play, he's been trying to up the tempo a little bit, and he's just been caught out because of being a little bit over-aggressive.
And he's just not picking his targets that well and not really paying attention to a lot of vision. Something that ITZ really do struggle with. They're good at placing aggressive vision, but they're quite poor at clearing out vision. They'll always have a lot of wards behind them, which opens them up to a lot of flanks. So I feel like compositions with really strong engage tools, something maybe like a Hecarim, can be quite punishing against them.
Did you realize Vega have a Hecarim? That's quite a strong engage tool cost.
Maybe.
Maybe they could go for some of those fights. Red buff stolen away here by Ananasic. And it's the push prio in mid, the fact that you can see No Man's coming up, helping out the team, and the fact that Santos can move away from that bottom lane because the Karthus is able to sustain by himself. Santos is here in the mid lane trying to deliver a present to Envy. The Requiem comes down. Braum in the middle of it all as Red buff pops a Glacial Fissure. Here's Shinny, it's a 4v3 in favor of INTZ now. Ananasic falls, and INTZ actually found the perfect turnaround.
But this is where INTZ do get strong. Hold on though. He's okay. Leaps to safety is that they are strong in their team fights. Now, it wasn't necessarily showcased there, but as this game progresses, I want viewers to really hone in on how INTZ are very patient during team fights. Particularly watch Envy and watch Redbird when they pick their moments to go in.
We will keep our eyes on it. Redbird, of course, the only player on this team with international experience, played for Virtus Pro at MSI 2017. And at the start of this, you think it's all good for Vega Squadron. They catch out Envy, and then they can't quite follow up.
But they expended so much on Envy, and I think they were surprised by the lack of damage that they did and the immediate response from INTZ's bot lane, which they had a clear pathway because they had gotten early control vision that's now just been cleared out by Santas there to walk up that river.
And as much as the Karthus, can farm by himself pretty safely, pushing the lane will take a little bit of time. It does. If the Ezreal pushes it towards you, you have to take your time to push it back, and it gave INTZ a little bit of time just to move up towards that mid lane. Santos continues to land the bone skewers down towards that bottom side, but as of yet, that pike hasn't paid off completely.
I mean, I think the idea, though, is that he's not there to get the kills in the lane. If he does, that's just a bonus. But anytime you have a Karthus, it's basically looking for parity at 15 minutes. And then if you're past the 15-minute mark, we've seen how Karthus can just end games because in late game, presses are and massive devastation rains down on your team.
Totally take games over. He's yet to get a Dark Harvest stack either. Of course, a little bit tougher to do that in a sort of 2v2 lane where you don't have kill threat than it is as a jungler. And with Ananasic here clearing out the vision initially, he will go for the Mountain Drake. They have push in bot, they have push in mid. This is the perfect opportunity for him to use that. Shinny here, coming in with the bow, tries to get in, flashes forward, Envy trading, No Man's there, furious bite to the face. And No Man's will fall. INTZ answering with a kill of their own in the mid lane. The Mountain Drake will go to Vega Squadron.
Yeah, the gank finally pays off. Third time the charm is apparently there for INTZ, but like you're saying, an excellent objective trade because it's still a mountain. With the Baron threat damage, like you have the secure execution from Lee Sin, you have the damage that a Karthus can put out, as well as the burst from a Syndra, and now a mountain on top of it. The Baron threat from the Vega Squadron is really real.
Incredibly powerful if they can get towards it. I want to, as the game seems to be in a little bit of a slowed down state here for a second, let's talk about scaling. Let's talk about how these comps play into each other later on. Redbird caught out just a little bit here, but he should be able to jump to safety. We'll wait for this fight to finish. You said in Pick and Ban, they draw attention towards the bottom lane. That's exactly what's happening. But let's talk about scaling. Like, Karthus scales incredibly well, but Ezreal is no slouch in the late game. This INTZ composition still has some power as the game progresses.
For me, it's not so much about Ezreal since the double tier adjustments. I do think that he still has some good options. I particularly like more of an AP emphasis on an Ezreal.
Okay, so would you be going Hextech Gunblade? Ludens?
I mean,
Where would you be going?
there's so many different options, which I think is one of the main strengths of Ezreal still, is that he offers so many versatile lane matchups as well as itemization. For me, I think a lot of the late game damage potential is actually on Envy's Rise. Again, people just kind of forget how tanky Rise can be, how much damage he can be, and how obnoxious he is, but I still really like Vega Squadron for just how many damage threats on total they have on their team.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense. You've got Warrior Enchant coming out from the Lee Sin as well.
And their support's killing people.
Yeah, when Pyke can do just burst people down from like 400 HP, you're looking towards that Dust Blade, he can do a huge amount of work. Game pretty even, 300 gold between the two teams, but both teams will probably be pretty happy with that state of affairs. Gadget almost caught out here, but Mills does still have the Arcane Shift. We'll use it. Santos couldn't quite land the Bone Skewer slow. Mills actually has to flash away because the Skittles were coming in, and he didn't have any safety from his support.
I almost feel like they played the combo incorrectly there. What I would love to see them do, I'll hold it though.
Santos' concussive blows is going to come out here. The Glacial Fissure locks him in place. There's no real escape for the Pyke. Didn't have the flash up, and Mills will get a kill in that bottom lane.
Excellent turnaround there. Imagine this. Imagine you're Karthus and you set the wall down and you find the slow and you just free allow Pyke to run up and to throw the Bone Skewer from melee range. So it's that much harder to dodge rather than trying to open with that. I think that would be a much more successful combination of using those two champions.
Shinny getting forced out here by Nomads. That is actually something you see a lot from like lower level Pikes, and something I did when I initially played Pyke is you're kind of sitting right at the back and saying, how far away can I throw this skewer from? How far away can I hit my hook from? What you need to be doing is getting right into the face of the enemy carry, basically standing on top of them and then being like, well, you really can't dodge me because I'm going to land your skewer no matter where you go.
I just think it would be really cool to see them abuse the mobility of Pyke and the slow from Karthus. So I think that there's a lot of cool combos that have yet to come out this game that still a possibility for.
Well, hopefully we see them. I do always enjoy a cool combo. No Man's going to be given across this blue buff. We're getting up towards that 15-minute mark where we talked about Karthus being incredibly powerful. He's got the Ludens first. Pretty even in terms of gold across the board. You can see 4 plates to 1, but INTZ have been able to make up for it with that extra kill. Boss coming down here. INTZ have reacted pretty well, but there are actually 5 members of Vega on their way. Santos on towards Envy to start us off. Gadget forced back. The Scatter the Weak will connect, but the Sonic Wave doesn't. Envy able to escape. Vega Squadron not quite finding the avenue of approach into this fight.
Just walking that one out. Just a little bit of a walkabout. Meanwhile, it was Mills who got a free wave as well as denying control ward, but seems pretty much like a stalemate at this point as we're looking for bigger item break points.
Yeah, with plates down as well, getting a little bit of extra chip damage on the tower doesn't really amount to much. You know, eventually we're going to see 4-man, 5-man pushes for these turrets, and that's when they'll fall. But for now, 100 health here, 100 health there, doesn't matter too much to either of these teams.
It's also about where the Rift Herald is going to be executed. You can see that Pineapple's got it right now. And if he goes bottom, they find some kills. Maybe he decides to unlock this lane.
Really nice ward there from INTZ. The wall spotter analysis as he goes across, and it means immediately Tay pops the dominance in the top lane. Boss tried to use the unstoppable onslaught, but will get caught underneath the tower. Tay survives. Rift Herald used down towards the bottom side. Vega Squadron trying to react to INTZ's play up towards that top side.
Yep, and now we're in a tower race here to see who can push this one down. Rift Herald?
Yeah, Rift Herald's always going to get it first, you have to feel. Headbutts the tower, and they will take it. INTZ will answer with one in the top lane. They'll be about 1,000 gold ahead at the end of this trade. But there is a dragon on the cards as well. It's only a cloud, but a little bit of extra speed, a little bit of extra rotation can definitely help you out. Envy's going to use the Realm Warp to get back underneath the tower. And I expect to see a Vega going back towards this Cloud Dragon.
I think it should be a pretty good reset from Vega. I'm curious how they're going to set up their lane assignments and if they're going to move.
Oh, Requiem! This could be enough. Mills just gets taken out. That was great combination from the Pineapple Man and from Gadget. And Anasik and Gadget teaming up perfectly. They land the Sonic Wave into the Dragon's Rage, into the Requiem, and it's goodbye, Mills.
You didn't even take a... I was like, okay, I'm going to think ahead. I'm going to try to predict this. Meanwhile, they're just like flying into the jungle, just executing people. You can see, again, one of the reasons why Karthus is so cool as a champion, because he offers so much pressure on any sort of assassination potential.
And getting those kills onto Gadget is so powerful as well. The quicker you can get this Karthus towards 2-3 items, towards the Rabadons, is a huge power point for the mage.
But one of the questions that I had is kind of where do they sit Gadget now that his lane has been opened up? Get another look at it. It's just unfair. They just knew as soon as it happened.
I love the kick into Tempest as well, though. It's just like, just to make sure I'm going to land an E as you fly away from me. Mills felt the pain of the pineapple there.
Because since they have the likes of Syndra, you don't normally see Syndra out into a side lane unless she's kiting very quickly back to her team. She can't be that overextended, doesn't have the best escape tools outside of a really nicely timed Scatter the Weak, but it looks like they are going to go ahead and send out Nomans, and I just kind of want to pay attention to what he does on one of these side lanes if he's punished and caught out.
We'll keep our eyes on him. Let's do a quick check across the items as well, as we are starting to see those first 2 or 3 items across the board. Trinity Force first for Boss, as expected. Glacial Fissure use this. Santos can just dodge away. That was very greedy from ITZ. But yeah, Trinity Force on Boss, double Ludens sitting on Nomans and Gadget. On the other side, you've got the Manamune stacking up for Mills alongside that Iceborne Gauntlet, and a Seraph's first for Envy in the middle lane on that Rise.
It feels like, though, that they're just going to be farming the waves back and forth. And again, we're looking at the junglers, or we're looking towards these cheating members kind of pushing their waves forward, and then immediately everyone looks for an opportunity. Can they find someone out of position? Can they look for the 1v2 in a side lane?
And it looks like Shinny's looking down towards this bottom lane, and Tay has finished his Spear of Sojourn, has the Dominus as well. They could go for the play, but the rest of Vega Squadron reacting pretty well. It's always hard to track a Pyke as well as he goes through the jungle like this, has the Ghost Water dive. Tay's going to pop the ultimate. Boss just needs to survive until the Pyke can join them. Unstoppable Onslaught gets back underneath the tower, and INTZ can't go any further. The hook comes out, Bone Skewer doesn't hit because of the tunnel, but the rest of the team is on their way. Vega trying to make a play here down towards this bottom lane as Ananasik joins. There's the TP coming in, Requiem, Sonic Wave.
It's double TP.
Double TP, INTZ trying to react. The Realm Warp used, Santos can flash the wall, and Nanasik will have that safeguard up in just a second. Goes to the minion, jumps away, and they will survive for the moment. True Shot Barrage not going to do too much. Meanwhile, Nomas is still pushing in that top lane.
And INTZ expended so much to try to chase that, but an excellent disengage. Yeah, nothing really happens except for up here. Nomans gets to force it all the way back and get some decent damage onto this tower, but now it looks like INTZ doubling down on Boss, knowing that he doesn't have his ultimate.
Yeah, that's the thing. Doesn't have the ultimate. So much easier to make the play here. Shinny actually flashing forward. Boss trying to get away, but the Void Rush will chase him down. Ra indeed for Skewin. And a quick kill for the INTZ jungler. And after going 0-2-0, he is now sitting at 2-2-2. Nomans will get the top tower eventually, but Tay is in a strong position into the Heck Room in a side lane now.
Yeah, and that's kind of where you're trading your power points. The fact that Nomans gets the extra experience, you can now see level 13 to level 12. Levels do mean a lot for unlocking the potential of Syndra there, versus trying to put that Heck Room down and give your Renekton a bit more teeth.
Renekton's bite is incredibly strong right now. Next objectives left on the map. We do have Baron up. We're past that 20-minute mark, so it is an option, but neither INTZ or Vega feel far enough ahead to me to really go for that sort of play. You need to be making a pick first.
What I like about both these compositions, though, is that if they decided to kind of take their gamble on approaching a Baron, maybe they just want to check, do you have this warded? Will you come contest this? Maybe you're a little bit slow to the play, to the ability to turn off the Baron.
Yeah.
You know, you can be on the Baron attack round and you can immediately fly off it with ultimate. Lee Sin can follow as well. Pyke can back roll off of it, whereas Ezreal, Rise, they immediately turn high mobility. And compositions like this, when you do approach the Baron, give you so much more flexibility about the gambles that you'll take approaching that monster objective.
Definitely does. And if Vega have done their research, they'll know that INTZ sometimes do lack that vision control. We talked about it earlier on in the early game. This is the point where they really need to get those wards down.
Vision denial.
Vision denial.
INTZ are great at placing down wards. They often overlook sweeping out their own jungle.
And you're looking for some deep wards there from Vega Squadron. Then get them in towards that red pit, get them around the Baron, because that is a very strong objective. With only a Cloud Drake up as well. Probably the biggest objective for you. Jump in here from Ananasik. Going to get the knockback onto Redbird. Not Mills, not the target you really want, but the support will do. Redbird flashes though, and gets the stand behind me, 2 Mills. Good escape there from the Braum. Not really too much burnt though on the side of Vega. No summoners actually used for that trade.
And I like the read. You're in a 1-3-1 position here from INTZ, so if you actually manage to break the bot lane that's been parked there, you can try to crack one of those towers.
Santos straight into the Ghost Water dive there. Didn't really want to get caught out. Misses the Bone Skewer. Phantom Undertow away as Nomans forced back as well. Gadget was on his way up, but the heal will be used there from Santos. Just that passive healing, of course. Now, Ananasix making a play over towards the other side of the map. Tay has flash, has dominance, can just pop the ult straight away. Knocked back with the devastating charge against the Cold Meek. The Requiem comes out, but the Cold Meek will not be enough to heal him up. Boss takes his second kill of the game.
And this is multiple reads from VEG Squadron trying to figure out, again, how they crack or break the 1-3-1 map setup here from ITZ, and it finally pays off in that bottom lane for the Hecarim, but it doesn't really translate into much. They get the kill, they get access to the Cloud Dragon, but they're looking for something bigger than that.
You really, one kill just isn't enough at this portion of the game. Maybe I'm just a glutton for punishment because of all the Group A games where we're going at a kill a minute, but these games, they just don't seem to be as fast-paced, as high-tempo as some of the ones we've had earlier today.
I expected these games to be slower paced just due to the nature of the teams playing in it, and I expected this game to be full of really creative compositions, and so far in the first two series,
definitely paid off.
It has definitely delivered. But again, that becomes, that begs like this meta question of, if this group isn't decided by like standard play League of Legends and these teams go into a best of 5, and let's say they just race through group stage by, you know, showcasing all of these creative, unique picks, it's super easy then for the Flash Wolves who are watching this to be like, and I'm gonna ban this, and I'm gonna ban this, and we're gonna see if you can actually play standard across from us on an international stage.
And the question is as well, it's the first time really I think a lot of people thought that the Flash Wolves will be really challenged, right? The LMS as a region seems to have been a little bit weaker than it has in the past, and it was definitely an opportunity for a team like ITZ, for a team like Vega to push towards that group stage. Can they do it? Can they keep the sort of intensity up?
Yeah, and already I'm very impressed with the quality of play. I feel like, you know, some people were down on Group B. You look at all the stacked competition of Group A, however will it compete? And already I've been surprised by Detonation Focus Me, loving the composition, and I'm feeling this game.
Flash not available to Shin. He can't get onto Gadget. Unleashed Power was used. Tay came in from the flank, and this is what we're tending to see in the last few minutes, you know? Teams getting the push prio in mid, then looking for a 5-man fight, but not quite able to find it. Baron is up. Boss is pushing down towards the bottom lane. Has the teleport if he wants to join the fight. And Anasik hits the Sonic Wave, but it's only onto Redbot. True Shot Barrage comes out from Mills, but the problem is there's so much wave clear on either side that neither team can really get purchased.
There's also not a lot of engage tools, or excuse me, super hard engage tools from INTZ. You're either looking for a snare from Rise or a flash knockup from Shinyi. It's really hard for Tay to get into the middle of the fight. That's not really what he's supposed to be doing on this Rek'Sai. So it's super free for Boss to be over in a side lane while his team is just eyeballing INTZ because they can't pull the trigger.
Yeah, how do you hard engage onto a team like Vega?
You have to expend a lot of cooldowns, a lot of flashes to get into position. So when you do find the hard engage, if you choose to pull the trigger, it better work.
Definitely has to. I do want to bring a bit of attention to Trinkets as well as we look towards the top lane. Shinny in a position for a gank. Knocked back with the Scatter of the Week, and Anasik hits the Sonic Wave, but Shinny there in time. Looking down the Trinkets, it's interesting to me to see one side you have 3 Oracle's lenses. That's the side of INTZ, the side that traditionally hasn't been great at clearing out wards. On the other side, only Santos has one, and then he has Duskblade passive as well to try and spot people out. Now, INTZ have been caught out in the top lane. Envy taken out with the death from below. The Requiem's going to pop onto Shinny as well. Uses the Void Rush to dodge it out, but he just dives into his death. His demise comes at the hands of the death from below. Santos takes him out, and maybe that's a Baron call for Vega.
Yeah, delayed the damage. You can see the immediate pings right there. We'll see how brave they are to pull the trigger on it. No Man's trying to fruity up, get some mana. It's going to be really hard, not only because you don't have the smite contest here, but to try to steal this Baron away from the burst potential of a Syndra and a smite. Feels like INTZ's only option is to fight, and they're not going to pull it.
Not going for it at all. Baron will be taken by Vega Squadron. 26 minutes in. Boss actually uses the Unstoppable Onslaught to jump across the wall there. They think they can catch out Tay. He was in the top lane, greeting for the minion wave, pulled back with the Bone Skewer. There's no escape for the Crocodile in that top lane, and No Man's will take the kill. Look at that gold swing in favor of Vega Squadron from about even to 3,000 gold ahead now.
And frankly, just a very careless mistake from Tay to think that he could show on that minion wave when you hear the Baron going down. Of course they're just going to turn and kill you, but taking another look at how maybe all of this started, did they get a kill?
So this was the Requiem coming out. True Shot Barrage used as well. Gadget just surviving. So this is when the kills were happening in the top lane. Gadget just about surviving and being able to use that Requiem.
And then here was the pick that really sealed the deal for INTZ. Vega Squadron just racing up into the top lane, have the numbers advantage and the mobility advantage there first, and clean up the fight.
super speedy. And now we see that 5-man stack in the mid lane, or 4-man stack here from VEG going to pay off dividends. When you have Baron buff, when you've got these empowered cannon minions, it becomes so much harder for the enemy team just to use their wave clear. Boss will join the team in just a second, and Anasek's actually gone back to pick up the wave, speeds up the minions with the Baron buff, and this next minion wave will join Vega in just 8 moments' time.
And I like the fact that Vega Squadron are threatening with a potential dive from Boss. They feel so powerful right now with Baron. They're a composition that can siege quite safely, despite the fact that they don't have a lot of range, because there's no traditional APC, because they have the threat of the Syndra Scat of the Week. So they're looking for those windows that anytime the balls are down and there's a possibility that No Man's could stun someone up and just delete someone, that INTZ immediately need to respect.
No Man's gone for the 3rd item, Void Staff, here as well, which I actually really like against this composition. You've got Hex Drinker and the Mercurial Treads in the top lane on Tay. You've got the GA for a bit of magic resist on Shinny, and then you've got, sorry, no magic resist from GA anymore, but you have the Banshee's Veil on Envy for some magic resist there as well. So he is actually getting efficiency out of that Void Staff. Vega now pushing in the bottom lane, looking for this next turret. Should be an easy enough take for them. And they extends that gold lead up to about 4,000 gold right now. Trade here, Unstoppable Onslaught, the Requiem. Envy does have the Ceres, has quite a lot of shielding. Very strong rise. We talked about how well he scales up, and you said he's going to be their main damage threat as the game does progress. INTZ showing us that Envy still is here to party.
Just feel like when you have a champion and your role isn't just like assassin or mage, but it's like tank, assassin, machine gun, mage, mobility, that maybe the champion's in a healthy spot.
Rise is just very good as a champion, right? He's got escape tools. At least it's not Zonya's Realm Walk Rise days. Like, that was annoying when you could just like get out.
We're like, that's too much, guys.
Yeah, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Now, another dragon going over to Vega. They're triple clouding and mountainous at the moment. You've got the Rabadon's Death Cap complete on Gadget. We talked about how strong that Karthus is on 2 items. Well, 30 minutes into the game, he is looking incredibly powerful.
It was also that idea of, if you get your Karthus kind of, Papa Smithy talks about this all the time in the LCK, if you get your Karthus to even footing at like 15 minutes, most teams believe that the game is just over because he'll end a team fight before it begins. The scaling potential, the damage potential to open up team fights is just so massive, and that feels like where Vega are, with so much burst damage on multiple champions.
Yeah, because you imagine a Requiem into an Unleashed Power will take, well, Mills will be dead. Redbird would probably be close to dead unless she uses the Unbreakable Shield. You don't really have that much magic resist on Shinny either, so he's going to struggle. MB knocked back with the Scat of the Week, using the Spell Flux to clear out the minion wave, but 3 members of INTZ are having to answer here in the top side. The only joy for them is the Baron has expired and their inhibitor line has not been broken by Vega.
And it feels like if they want to win these team fights, it's kind of about surviving the initial onslaught of Vega Squadron. If INTZ can survive the Requiem as well as the Syndra ultimate, then maybe they look to kind of turn the fight or turn the tides on the fight and look for the engage. But again, you don't have a lot of hard engage options.
They have shown us they can fight from behind. They did it against Flamengo in their finals. Came back from a 2-1 deficit to be able to win those 3-2. Question is, can they do it within this game? Do they have the tools at their disposal, or are they just out-comped? Are they outdrafted as we get past the 30-minute mark in this match?
I think it was an issue of execution. I liked the draft, but when Shinny tried to double down on camping for his Rise, on looking for the hard CC, it was just a better read from Pineapple and better play from No Man's.
Supple round from Anasik. The Banshee's Veil was popped there. Scatter of the Week used onto towards the Rise. Gadget flashes away. Glacial Fissure doesn't hit from Redbird. Wasn't predicting that the flash would come out. Tower Fort fell in the top lane for Vega. They continue just to chip away at the defenses of INTZ. Mills didn't go down the AP route on this Ezreal. Went for the Blade of the Ruin King, the more traditional Ezreal build here, and is now going towards a more of Malmortius as well.
And I think that's the big thing for me. It's the fact that he felt he had to spec into the Hex Drinker there. Unfortunately for Ezreal, he can't make use of the Lifeline as most ADCs can with Phantom Dancer, and instead, like, Phantom Dancer's power curve feels so nice because you get the Lifeline passive from it while not sacrificing any of your damage potential, whereas Hex Drinker just feels so bad. And it was kind of one of the big itemization changes and kind of an ecosystem that I felt really took Ezreal down from S tier into A tier. Like, I think, again, the versatility of his lane phase, how safe he can be, versatility of itemization still put him up there, which is why we see him continue to be played. But I feel like it was a big factor.
It definitely was. Other AD carries just kind of have a much more smooth curve in terms of itemization, in terms of power. That and the double tier being removed as well from the Ezreal made it a lot harder for him to get all of that late game damage. But he is still a powerful threat. Envy building up towards his Rabadon's death cap. You have to think with the Baron live once again, INTZ will be trying to play down towards that bottom side. Do wonder if we saw Tay matching straight up into boss, whether that Renekton would be able to deal with the Hecarim.
But if we look globally again,
Yep.
so we're talking about the Hex Drinker, you're talking about, can they deal with the tools from Vega Squadron? You have, what, 2 Hex Drinkers, as well as a Banshee Veil. The Locket looks like it's trying to come in here for Braum.
Oh, fight onto Redbutt here as Nomad
Not soon enough.
him out. Redbutt surviving for the moment. Mills locked underneath the tower. The Requiem's going to come out. That will be a dead Braum, you have to feel. It's a double. He takes out Mills from about half HP there.
That's the buy one, get one free.
Just a pretty happy deal there for Gadget, and now Vega Squad can turn straight on towards Baron. You have to, INTZ have to fight this. You have to do something.
I was thinking glass half full. I'm like, they're trying to get their defensive items, they're trying to survive it, but they're pulling the trigger.
Shinny going in, pops the Void Rush, it's all onto No Man's, goes into the GA, Envy flashing forwards, get one, the temple coming in from Tay as well, but is it too little too late? INTZ force back, Envy low, death from below will take him out, and now Vega Squadron, Gadget actually gonna die to the Baron. Gadget's behind it, the shields isn't enough, he's still alive. Tay turns on the boss, Gadget dies! Gadget is down, but the Baron goes down in favor of Vega as well. Now Tay in a 1v3 flashes away, Shinny trying to run for the wins as well. Tay with a slice and dice, but the chase comes in. It's not enough. He's down. Tay heals up from the cold.
Shinny,
just
help him!
2v1 it. Shinny, go do it! Stop clearing the minions. CS doesn't matter. You can help your man. True Shot Barrage misses to the side. Shinny with the burrow forward. Vega Squadron on the retreat. They need to save these Baron buffs. And Anasig's going to jump across the wall, but the slice and dice is on the chase. Boss ran up towards the top side. They're going for him. They'll give away one. They'll say the Lee Sin can get away, but this Baron recall is going to be in time, and INTZ can't take them all down in time. Vega Squadron get out with Baron buff on boss and on an Anasis.
So recap, Vega Squadron, they get the Baron, they have it on 2 members, which means they can at least apply it on multiple waves. I think it's actually really big that they're able to do that. They can split it up and they can start eating up this map. But I just want to say this. This was such a huge moment for Tay. This guy has had multiple role swaps in Brazil. He's constantly put down. He faces a lot of community scrutiny. He was thought to be a big problem in a lot of his teams, and he came to play today. He was in the blood in the court right there. He was trying to hold it down, and Shinny left him.
Shinny just wanted to survive, maybe trying to get out, didn't realize Tay could turn it around. And as you say, Tay has played 4 roles competitively. The only place he hasn't been is in that supporting role. We even saw him on Pain Gaming going 80 carry as well. So he's been all over the map. But at the moment, it seems like top lane is his island.
I mean, that was the only silver lining there, is they're not dealing with 5 Baron buffs, but this is still a very heavily favored Vega Squadron game.
Definitely, and with Boss surviving with his in the side lane as well, it makes that 1-4 that we have seen Vega pull out very, very effective. Now, True Shot Barrage used, going to catch out Gadget just a little bit. Shinny's on the flank, Boss pushing up towards the top lane. Vega Squadron splitting up the map a little bit. They have a 5,000 gold lead. They also have a 5 Dragon power play if they can get the Elder, which spawns in a while.
Big thing, though, is that the GA was also popped for Shinny, so again, one of those defensive pieces is now the GA on Tay as well. So again, multiple Hex Drinkers, multiple GAs. The plan is survive. Survive the initial burst, then we try to turn it down. But Vega, they don't necessarily even need to fight. They can try to split up this Baron. They can try to siege the towers. Maybe they look to end it right here and now, depending on who they hit with the Scatter the Weak.
Last time we saw Vega get the Baron, they weren't able to break this inhibitor line. It was one of the only reasons INTZ actually survived in the game. Now they're just saying, okay, we can group up 5, we can push as 5 and look for these inhibitors. The Cannon Minion's still alive, but Mills has some long-range pokes. One of the benefits of Ezreal is you can get these Cannon Minions down from quite a long way away.
And again, it's all about that timing, the fact that you don't have a traditional ADC. With that opening, though, I think it tells me that they want to either force the fight, at least force the tower.
Looking to win the fight before it starts. The Requiem comes in, the prayer to the gods. Vega Squadron, True Shot Barrage comes out, so much damage, Gadget's done, but he will go into the death divide, the knockback. So much work being done here by that Karthus in his passive. No Man takes the kill. It's 1-for-1, but look at how low all of INTZ are. Redbutt and Envy and Tay trying to defend. Shinny's gone back to base. Vega Squadron still have the teleport on boss. They have 15 seconds left on this Baron power play, and just one inhibitor tower that they're looking to take.
That was the big thing. It was the fact that the tower was still standing, but finally being hit. Maybe the jungler.
Yes, hooked. The death from below comes out as well. It wasn't even needed. No Man takes his 3rd kill of the game, and Shinny It's been a story of two junglers this game. He's goes from absolutely awful at the start to great in the middle, and now getting caught out, paying off for the enemy team. Death from below as well from Santos, taking out the enemy support. And Vega now can look for the end. They can look for the push here as they go towards the bottom lane inhibitor tower. Tay slicing and dicing away, the hook back once again. Santos! Can this man do everything? He's hit hook after hook, he gets kill after kill, and Vega Squadron are looking for the win.
It felt like a story of two regions. Who was going to find the redemption? Who was going to say, you remember Albus Nox Luna, you remember Kaboom, but remember my name. And it is CIS, Vegas Squadron, that come out on top.
Vega Squadron coming, showing us that they are here to party. They'll take their first game of MSI 2019 with a convincing win over ITZ.
I know, you were looking for the Albus Nox Luna year, but it's a different CIS team this time around, and what a splash. Going through the fan favorites, now showing to their region, hey, we deserve to be here. It wasn't a fluke. It wasn't just about the cheese picks. We can make these creative compositions work on an international stage.
And that's why I was thinking of Albus Nox Luna as well, because I remember the brands. I remember these creative picks that they went for, and it looks like the spirit of the Commonwealth of Independent States lives on through Vega Squadron. Of course, ITZ, it wasn't a poor game from them. Shinny had obviously a few mistakes, maybe a little bit of nerves on his first game on the stage. Could have just needed a little bit more to actually get ITZ ahead.
Unfortunately, I think that's a major red flag for